For centuries, mankind has been fascinated with realms outside of our conscious awareness. Through a series of interviews with practitioners, guest speakers, and experts, Liberate the Podcast covers all that and more. From health and holistic healing to the supernatural, we aim to educate, motivate, inspire, and liberate your consciousness. Welcome to another episode of Liberate the Podcast. Today we have a guest that's going to be doing some classes with us coming up. Her name is Eadig, and she specializes in runes. She also makes amazing YouTube videos, so after this you might want to watch some of those, teach you a little bit about runes, but we'll hear a little bit about you, and so tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Eadig, and I have a YouTube channel where I teach people about paganism, many different facets of paganism, while also diving into making runes, how to cast them, and everything that comes with that.
Okay,
yeah.
So runes. Let's start with the basics. Okay, So some people you might have heard of runes. Some people they don't know anything about them. Okay, so I know that they're a form of divination. So let's take it from there. Besides a form of divination, where do they come from? What are they? Let's talk a little bit about it.
So yeah, runes are an ancient form of divination, like you said, but they also have various different kinds of runes. There are the Anglo-Saxon runes, which are called the Futhark, the Norse runes, which are called the Futhark, and then the Icelandic or younger Futhark, which is like a smaller version of them. So there's different versions, and they also have variations of them and additions, and some of them can kind of mean the same thing, but also have different meanings depending on what they are and which system they come from.
Okay, and so these are symbolisms that like hieroglyphic, like symbols that are
pictographic,
that are etched into various surfaces, and people use them and pick from them. So what is like the standard? How many runes normally come in a set?
So one set for the Futhark, or the Anglo-Saxon version, is 29 runes. The Elder Futhark is the Norse runes, which are 24, and then the Icelandic, I think, are 16. I haven't really worked with those. But yeah.
So let's talk about the ones that you do work with. Why'd you get into doing or studying runes and working with them? Okay, because there's so many different forms of divination, and why runes and what drew you to them, and then
For me, I was kind of a weirdo in school. So I was one of those kids that my friend actually and I had this thing where we would write notes to each other in like runic forms. We didn't really know what they were. We were just like, hey, let's do this and see what's up. And we were just like making these notes, and nobody knew what they meant. And we were like, oh, we're so cool. We don't, nobody can read our notes. And then I learned later on that they were runes. And I thought, you know what? I'm using these. Why don't I learn about them and see what's up? And then I realized that they're a form of divination. You can cast them and figure out your future, divine your future. And you can also cast them out into the world in order to create or manifest or gain anything that you're looking for with any type of rune that you can do.
Talk to me a little bit more about that. So what do you mean by cast out into the world?
So for me, I'm actually better at doing this because I'm not necessarily an intuitive, meaning someone that can hear messages from other beings or other worlds or anything. I'm more of a person that can create something out of nothing. Okay. So you can use any type of rune that you want to create anything that you want. So if there's something like a relationship that you want to develop, you can use a rune such as Gufu, which is a rune of gifts and of relationships. And if you want to have happiness in your life, you can use the rune 1, which is a rune of joy and things that you want to gain in your life and things like that. So you can either...
When you say use, like, how do you use the rune?
So you can either make them into your own like runic little rune staff, which is... can be made out of wood, or you can etch it into clay and make your own little mold of it, or you can even, like I do, which is like the easiest thing in the world, is put it or cast it onto a mirror. Just draw it, say a little bit of Golder, which is like the speech, the act of empowering the rune, and you can say anything like, hey, help me with this one thing, or I really need this influence of this rune for this one specific thing that I want or need in my life. And that's a way of casting it out into the universe, and for the universe to give you that gift of the rune's influence.
Okay. And so the rune's influence, where do you think that comes from? Do you think that that's like on an energetic level? Is that tapping into more like, different dimensions? Like what is it in your belief of where is that power coming from and how is that symbol being utilized?
I think it comes from the connection with the gods that are in tune with the runes. Like Odin, or Woden, as he's called in the Anglo-Saxon runic lore, he is the creator of the runes. He's the one that discovered the runes after hanging himself on the world tree. And after that point, he created the wisdom and power of the runes and helped people to feel closely connected to them. Mm-hmm. So in a way, like, it's all of the gods and goddesses that are believed to have influenced the runes or have influence with the runes. So you connect with not only that, but also your internal power. Okay. The runes are also a part of you in a way, a part of your word or the web of the word, like everyone's decisions that they have and created that have unfolded in their lives, which creates their orle also creates their word, which is orle meaning that which has become, that is which will become, which is like everything that has happened in your life that has shaped who you are. Okay. So everything that you've done in your life and everything that is unfolding in your life kind of has this connection to everything else in the world and everyone else. And all of that helps you to become in tune with your own powers and with the powers of the runes as well.
Love that.
Yeah, so it's like, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with it.
Yeah, and I mean, tapping in and creating that, and also that unconscious belief, right? Mm-hmm. Too, if like you see it, you're putting it out, you're speaking it, you're claiming that it's important, right?
Exactly.
And all of those factors into it. Do you think they kind of work a little bit like how Reiki symbols do?
Actually, I don't know too much about Reiki, and I've always wanted to learn, but Reiki is more so about the connection that you have with someone in that moment, right? When you're...
Well, no, there's in some... as you go through the Reiki, you get symbols. Mm-hmm. And so these symbols, you draw them on somebody's body to help, or you draw them in the air to help you kind of harness that energetic vibration so that you can utilize it. So, when I'm thinking about it like that.
That's totally, it's very similar. With runes, you can definitely, one thing I will be teaching in my classes is runic hand gestures. So you can use a hand gesture in order to evoke that power of the rune as well without having to have a pen or having to etch it into stone or anything. So what you do is just draw the rune with your hands and then say the golder or say something that you think will help you influence that rune and kind of contemplate that rune happening or working for you. And that's definitely very similar.
Very, very similar. And so then you said that it can also be used for divination. Mm-hmm. Okay, so divination, for those people, as learning about your future, understanding, kind of fortune telling in a way, but also clarity and awareness and empowerment, and so how do you use them for that?
So for that, there are a couple of different charts. The most popular, I think, are the 7 rune readings and the 3 rune. The 3 rune reading is a very simple reading where it's like past, present, future. Okay. And then the 7 rune reading, kind of like tarot cards, is like a little cross chart where it will tell you the future, your influences, the negative influences, the positive influences, things coming from the above and the below with your ancestors and with the gods, and all of that influence what's happening in your present day and your word at the moment.
Okay.
So it's really interesting for me. Again, like, I'm really good with the theory and practice of that, but not necessarily being able to divine my own future. I'm one of those people that I always kind of like want to pretend that something is that it isn't in a divination. So I kind of think of more so what I want rather than what is being told to me in divination. So I like to teach people that they need to be able to connect with what's happening and what messages are being taught.
Yeah,
so it's really important.
Because even if we get information, we're still, the head of our own ship, right? And so, just because somebody tells you something's going to happen or going to be a certain way doesn't mean that that needs to be that way. It can change. It can change for the positive or the negative. If you hear something and then you just give up on working towards something because you're like, it's destined. Well, you probably just got your destiny to do something else.
Exactly.
Or vice versa, if like there's something that you're hearing that's really, negative in a way, quote unquote. Nothing's really negative because they're just lessons and furthering our development and giving us some muscles. But if we hear something like that, you can shift it. So I like that your approach, that when you're doing a reading for somebody, that you're like, okay, well, what is it that you're wanting to speak into existence or create from this?
Yes, yes, and that's really important, because we always have a way of shifting our focus. We always have a way of changing our future. The messages that we get, we can always understand them and believe them and everything, but we always have the choice to change them if we want to. But we also have to note that if we change it, then good or bad can happen. You never really know.
Yeah. Well, I don't like to say bad.
It's going to be a lesson.
Lessons.
It's so funny because I'm that type of person where I'm always telling people, my friends are always like, oh, so here she goes with the lessons. Everything in our lives is something that is going to teach us. Anyone that comes into our lives are there for a reason. They're teaching us certain things. Even if it's like a negative relationship or something like that, it's there to teach us something about ourselves and for us to grow from that moment in order to really, really, really figure out what we're here to do and why we're doing so many different things.
Exactly. I love that. And so, a large part of your work is teaching, right? And so you teach people about taking this, what started as this adolescent, note writing or Morse code in a way, secret passages of notes, to, really diving in and learning the belief system and the power behind it and the wisdom that is there. And now you share that with others. And so I know that we're going to have you teach here. And so can you tell us a little bit about your courses that you teach and, what people get out of them and learn? I mean, I know that you have also videos on YouTube and other various forms that people can learn now about certain things as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be a 5-week course. It's going to be so fun. I can't wait. It's going to be every week you'll kind of learn something new. And the first week is going to be us really just getting our hands dirty and creating the runes and learning the basics and the history and stuff. We're going to have a fun game afterward, kind of like a trivia game where everybody comes together and, tries to remember everything that they learned in that day. And then each day will kind of go, with everything that you've learned in the past days or the past weeks. And so the second week, we're going to go into the Ed Division, which is the first Ed Division of Freyr, and we're going to learn more about that. And also, we're going to be diving into learning about the divination, the different types of runic charts that you can make. This third week, we're going to be learning about creating your own bind runes, rune staves, and helms. Bind runes are 2 runes combined, or 3 or 4, or any amount that are combined that can influence each other as well. So that's going to be really cool. Another game with that. So we're going to be doing games every night, and it's going to be cool.
Games are one of the strongest ways to learn, right?
That's what I'm saying. We need
that
to
right
have
brain and
fun.
your left brain create harmony. Right?
That's what I'm saying. And we're doing it all together. So it's going to be that fun aspect as well as, picking each other's brains. And, it's kind of going to be like a trivia thing throughout as well.
Yeah.
Like I want you guys to, go over the runic poems and things like that and kind of interpret them for yourselves first. And then I'll let you know, hey, okay, this is the type of influence that really goes through, but it's always an interpretive thing. It's not necessarily, yes, there are those moments when a rune will mean this specific thing, but it's all open to interpretation because everyone's lives are different. Everything kind of has its own way with one specific person and another. So I never really want to tell someone that this is definitely set in stone and this is exactly how it is, because there are so many different things that happen in people's lives and situations that can influence things.
Yeah, and that gives you guidance into it and not a direct. It's even like in the tarot, there's different, this can mean this or it can mean that, but it has an energetic vibration of it, right? Like the 2 of Cups and the soulmate card, right? So like, it could also be this deep connection or this partnership or this union, but like what is going on in the person's life to kind of put it, but it does have an influence. So each of these runes have this energetic influence and this vibration to it, or this connection to, however we want to word that, but it's allowing and teaching people to kind of
see for themselves.
See for themselves and be discerning of how that goes. And then, as you said, there's something when you do multiple runes together, right? So then that kind of creates a different vibration.
Exactly. And it's crazy because each of the rune means mystery.
Okay.
So, or the word rune or runa means mystery. So the runes are mysterious in their own right. They have so many different meanings for some of the runes as well. Like one rune in one system may mean one thing, but in another system it may mean another. And then there's also an alternative meaning. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like you have to kind of know every facet of the rune itself before you create a bind rune, before you invoke it in runic hand gestures or anything like that too, because you never know, you could be influencing the wrong part of the rune. So yeah, so I'll be teaching a lot of that as well.
Cool. Did you notice in our logo that we have a rune inside of it?
Actually, I didn't. Now that I think about it, I have to look at your logo again.
All right, you'll have to let me know.
Yeah, no, that's one thing too. I see runes in a lot of different things throughout my day.
There's an asymmetrical innerness to the inside of the Merkaba. That's our logo. And we place the rune
it's Merkaba.
but no, not the Merkaba.
It's the rune inside.
We place a rune, and you can see that people think that it's a design weirdness, but there's a rune inside of our logo.
I wonder. I have a feeling it's going to be either Bayork or Burkana or like Rad or something. So
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I have to look at this again.
I just was curious if you had noticed. Yeah, so invoking and allowing the power to shift and be a part of that. So what do you enjoy most about runes?
The thing I enjoy most actually is something that I was going to dive into as well, is the fact that they can constantly be seen in so many different things in your lives, like your logo. And I'll be walking down the street and I'll just see a rune, and it'll influence something that's happening in my day, or tell me something that I'm going to be looking forward to in my day, or something that I need to be cautious about in my day. So it's just very interesting in that sense. And also it's just something that I've felt so connected with in my life that it's just I want to be able to share it with people, and I want to be able to help people understand what the power within them and what is just so great about them.
Amazing. Now, I have a question that might just travel a little bit. The girl that you used to pass notes with, is she also into runes nowadays?
She actually...
Are you still in touch?
Yeah, we're still in touch, and she actually kind of like understands them a little better. And I was telling her like, oh my God, this is what we're doing. This is great. And she's like, oh man, I had no idea.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit more about like how you've seen it help you in your life, and maybe a couple people that you've worked with, so people get what it can do. In my life specifically, I think it's kind of helped me connect with myself. Okay.
In a way, well, yeah, because in my life I've kind of felt like alone in the sense that like, when I'm learning these things, when I'm, doing things, it's kind of or when I'm learning about the craft or, paganism in general, and I'm kind of solitary. I don't really have anybody else. So there are moments when, like, I'll have a bind rune or something that I create in order to gather more people and get them involved in what I'm also doing, and that has helped me in ways. And then it really helped me with creating my YouTube channel. Gathering the strength from the Ur rune, or Urez, as some people know it, and invoking that rune and saying, okay, I'm going to bring whatever strength and courage I have and create this thing that I have no idea how it's going to work out, but I hope it'll work out. I hope it'll help me retain this knowledge, and I hope that maybe one day somebody will be interested in what I'm interested in. And then it turned out to be this whole thing where everybody's, or not everybody, I'm not like that popular, but where a lot of people, where a lot of people are resonating with it, and it's helping a lot of people, and I'm really happy to be able to do that, because like at the end of the day, all I want to do is to teach and learn and teach. I want to be able to gather as much knowledge as I can, and if I can help someone in the littlest possible way, then it's helping me to manifest my just purpose in general, like to really just feel like I'm making a difference in a way.
Beautiful. And some of the differences that you're making, when I'm sure people have shared stories of the impact and the influence. Can you share a couple of those?
Yeah, there are a couple people that have really come to me and said, man, you make me feel like I'm not alone. There are moments in my life where, like, my family, they just don't understand what I'm going through, or, you know, there are people that are, you know, heavy Christian families like I had in my childhood, who I still love my family, still very close to my family, but, you know, I'm very different from them. Yeah. And they felt like they were completely lost. And then there was one moment when they saw a video of mine where I go through the moments that I had in my childhood where I just, you know, I didn't resonate with my family in those ways, and I felt like I needed to move on to my own, through my own path. Yeah. And they saw this video and they were just so taken by it, and they were saying how much it made them feel like they were doing the right thing with going and doing their own thing, because they're seeing how it's helping me become my own person. And so that makes me feel so amazingly good, because I can help people just come into their own.
Yeah. And bring together community too.
Exactly.
It sounds like, because the people that are feeling that solitary kind of influence are now finding a connection. And you know, what you do with the classes that you do and really having fun and creating games is creating bonding, which is creating further connection. And so you're developing this whole little culture and community within the Rune world. And you do YouTube videos and other things too.
Yeah. My YouTube videos are kind of expanding in so many different ways. I'm still trying to figure out my voice. Okay. Some of my videos go anywhere between twin flames, because I'm a twin flame, to a reaction video to some crazy TV show like the new Sabrina the Teenage Witch reboot, to alchemy. Actually, I'm doing a series on alchemy for my next couple of videos. So for myself and my own spiritual transformations and my ability to understand that we as people, or as twin flames in general, go through the alchemical processes, which are 7 of them. So for that spiritual transformation, which I'm going through right now,
let's talk about the seven alchemical processes. Like, you can't just give somebody a little bit like thing and then they're like, you know.
Well, let me tell you.
and people are fascinated with twin flames, so you can elaborate a little bit on that too.
Well, Venus retrograde in Scorpio and Libra recently have gotten me into a crazy, just, you know, my whole world is kind of shifting and transforming, and I'm just like, I just want to curl up in a ball and just like not do anything, but it's a part of that transformative process.
Yes. Cocooning.
Yes, cocooning in a way. You have to change in order to grow, in order to be a better person and become the person that you're meant to truly be. And with the 7 alchemical processes of coagulation, dissolution, what else? There's fermentation, all of that. Right now I'm going through the fermentation process, which is 2 steps. Putrefaction, which is kind of like how with wine you let it like ferment and get all gross and disgusting, and everything rots and gets really gross, and like, you know, you feel like nothing is really happening, or you're just like kind of in a ball of this disgustingness. That goes into that spiritization form of coming out of that cocoon and being that spiritualized version of yourself, and realizing that things are going to be better. Things are going to, I'm not there yet. No, I'm almost there, but you know, to where it's like
I think she sees the light. Come on now.
You become that enlightened person, that enlightened part of yourself, and then in that moment, you move on to the next process, which is the 6th process of distillation. You distill the wine. You kind of make it into this purified form, and then at that point, you go into the last process, which is now I can't remember. You go into the last process, which is kind of just like you in that whole sense of yourself, you in your full version of this purposeful person that you're meant to be. So I'm just like, right now there's so much going on right now that I'm overwhelmed, and that is a part of the challenge of this alchemical process. You have to go through all of these challenges. You have to go through things that punch you and kick you and everything, so that you can become that person that you're truly meant to be.
Yeah, it's like the hero's journey. I mean,
The hero's journey, yes.
You know, every story, you know, there's only seven real stories that take place within the human existence, and we just redo them and redo them. And being in Hollywood, you'll see the same patterns of the same stories over and over again, and so it's the same tales of that kind of coming to be your, you know, and becoming who you're meant to be, and overcoming those obstacles, or having, you know,
exactly, like you see the hero in movies and things, they're always just like, I don't want to do this anymore, you know, I don't want to be here, I just want to be a normal boring person that does nothing with their lives, and yada yada, just like living in a forest. And it's like, you know, and then they become this person that has changed the world. And that's what we're here to do in some little way, even just change the world, change someone's world. And we, you know,
change our world.
Change our world, yeah. And we have to go through these processes. And it's one of those things, you know, I'm going through that right now, and I'm, you know, again, just keep telling myself, like, I'm here for a reason. I'm doing this for a reason, and I'm here to help anyone that's also going through the craziness.
It has been craziness. I mean, how many retrogrades did we have this year already? You know, like, so it's definitely, you know, But with that being said, you know, you mentioned a little bit also that you were going through with all the retrogrades and the different planets and Jupiter and Scorpio and all the things that are going on. But you also mentioned something twin flame. So, you know, I know a lot of people have expressed interest in learning about that, so I know that you might as well tap into it right now. About why do you believe that you're a twin flame? What do you know about twin flames? And, you know, share that. This is where this conversation is going, from runes to twin flames to
everything.
Yeah,
you're just gonna learn everything about me, like, in one sitting. You guys, this is like the big scoop on Eadig. So yeah, twin flames are divine beings that came unto this earth in order to find each other. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm just going to go through the whole, like, I guess, process. So it was told in Platos Symposium, Zeus cut in half two beings, or one being that was two. It's kind of like two peas in a pod.
Yes.
So two beings were split in half. One was the female aspect and one was the male aspect. And throughout their lifetimes, these beings tried to find each other and tried to go through all of these just cataclysmic things in order to find each other. And once they do find each other, once they become these enlightened beings in their own right. And that's the one important thing about twin flames. It's that you have to be your own person. You have to be one with yourself, and you have to love yourself for who you are completely before you can even think about being with your twin flame. Because once you're with your twin flame, you are that full and complete balanced being. The male aspect and the female aspect. Right now in this incarnation, I am the female aspect. I am the female twin flame. But in another incarnation, maybe I am the female twin flame, but maybe I was a male. You know, but I would still have that female aspect inside of myself. But being a person in general, we always have this duality in our lives. So I have both male aspects and female aspects within myself that come to balance each other out. And what twin flames are is a balance in general. We're here to balance not only each other, but also some aspect of the world. So basically, you know, it's one of those.
She's blushing.
It's just one of those, you know, life-changing relationships that, you know, you're up and you're down and you're separated with, you know, the separation and then the conjunction of the two alchemical processes. You come together, you split apart, it's the rubber band effect. And then once you're finally one with yourself, completely and absolutely, once you're done all of the 7 alchemical processes, then and only then will you be with your twin flame. And in that moment, you guys are there to fulfill your destiny, whether it be to change the world or to have kids that change the world or anything like that. And once that happens, you guys are in your last lifetime and you are meant to live and die and never be reborn again. You will be, you know, complete and balanced beings. You don't need to come back. So yeah, it's definitely a process.
So, and that's why they say a lot of times that the twin flames, you'll never be together because you're not ready to, you haven't learned all your lessons.
Mm-hmm. If not in this lifetime, then in the next. But you never know when that's going to happen.
Yeah, but it's, there could be, 90 lifetimes, 9,000 lifetimes. It doesn't, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
But so if you meet somebody that you have this amazing, crazy, like ridiculous kind of connection with, it's just about what can you learn from it? What can you learn from yourself? And that the more that you come in contact, the more that you know how much closer or how more down the evolution process you are.
Yes, exactly. It's all about a learning process, regardless of whether or not, like, you can't be fixated on being with your twin flame because that'll keep you down. You have to be fixated on elevating yourself and the lessons that you learn from this process or from any process in your life. It's all about the lessons and the growth.
Absolutely. Because even in it, even if you don't end up with them, even if you do end up with them, right? It's about how it's still your journey.
Yeah.
And where are you in that evolution? Where are you in that evolving? How can you become a better you? How can you contribute more to society, to yourself, to the world? And the more that you think along those lines, the more that opens you up, because you can't be dependent. Because if you're dependent, then you create that codependency, and the codependency is not a hole. That's not a hole. That's coming from lack. That's coming from I need to be filled.
Right.
And that's quite the opposite of what you're saying. You need to be full and then attract, and then the two fulls can be together.
Exactly. But again, it's a hard process, and it makes you feel like, you're being punched in the face or punched in the gut a couple times before, anything really truly happens. You can't expect anything to happen, and you can't expect anything not to happen.
What doesn't kill us makes us stronger.
Yes, we're so strong.
And the more that you get punched in the gut, the more you're like, you climb out of the hole.
I'm ready to do this.
Then you get buff arms, right?
Yeah.
You're climbing up.
We're all strong.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. So tell everybody a little bit more about, do we have the date set? I think we moved it to January.
Yeah, so we moved it to January. It's good because now no one has any scheduling conflicts with the holidays and things like that. The holidays are over, and we'll have it in January, so that'll be really good.
Do we have the dates on that? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it starts on January 7th, which is a Monday. January 7th? Yes.
January 7th.
And then it'll be 5 weeks.
Okay. Awesome. So, and then where can people find you? I know you have your YouTube channel, but I'm sure that you have a website too. So.
Yeah, so I'm actually working on a website now, but I have a YouTube channel as well as a weekly newsletter that goes through like everything that I'm doing at the same time. So like when this podcast comes out, I have that in there, my Instagram posts, any blog posts that I create, any crazy wild things happening in my mind, as well as symbols of the week. I kind of dive into different symbols, and which is also a specialty of mine, and tell you guys just like how to interpret certain symbols, what they mean, and everything like that, as well as little witchy tips and things. So you can sign up for my newsletter, which the link is on my YouTube channel.
We'll put the link in here too. So.
Yeah.
And then what's your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is youtube.com/c/Eadig, which is EADIG.
And we'll put that link in there too. Make it easy on everybody.
Yeah.
But just in case people are just listening to this, it's there for you too. If you had to leave everybody with one last thing, what would you leave them with?
Oh, that's hard.
Woo-hoo.
Oh God, putting me on the spot.
Whatever comes to your mind. Now.
Be one with yourself.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, accept yourself for who you are. Because if you accept yourself for who you are and love yourself for who you are, then you allow others to love you as well.
See?
That's good.
That's amazing. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's great talking to you. And I can't wait. I love Liberate.
And we can't wait to have you here. And January 7th, since I didn't know the date, since I'm bad, Rebecca has to whisper it in the background.
It's okay. Everybody, I forget everything. It's okay.
But yeah, so we'll have you again, I'm sure, too, since it sounds like you have a plentiful list of topics. So if anybody's interested in any other of the topics that we talked about, we can do a whole podcast just on those, covering more in depth. But also, thank you for joining. If you like this, please, rate us and make a comment. It really helps other people finding our podcast a little bit better. So thank you, and until next time.
Thank you.
Bye.